All right. We're here with Joshua Brummel, TherapyFlow CRM. Wade may have some commentary too, but excited to have Joshua here. I feel like one of the big things that comes up over and over again is CRMs. I feel like a lot of people are chasing a lot of solutions on out there. When the reality is there's probably one or two that are really solid, and ironically, they're built on the same platform, which you can't get as cheap as you're going to get from Joshua and Therapy Flow. So he might mention it, but it's built on Go High Level, which we love. A HIPAA compliant Go High Level account is going to cost you $600+ a month. What's yours run, Joshua?
197.
Yeah, so it's a screaming deal, comes pre-built out, very plug and play. So, Joshua, show us my therapy flow and how you would use it and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll do some Q&A maybe halfway through and at the end.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. As Ken said, yeah, it's built on a base system. And what's awesome about that is there's two things that you get. One is there's people building state-of-the-art systems, content, and features that you will benefit for now in the future. So as AI continues to progress, as new features come out, we're going to be able to help you implement those into your practice. Yes, cost is a factor, but I think support is the number one consideration when you are trying to implement a CRM for the first time. If you go and switch EHRs today, you know it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world, but at least you're used to what an EHR is, how it's supposed to work, and how you're supposed to implement it. If you're trying to implement a CRM into your practice for the very first time, you're probably like, how do we do this? How do our intake coordinators do this? And what do we do? So I'm going to show you some great elements that will really save you time or help you get more ROI from your marketing through a CRM. That's the core purpose. And I'll also show you how Therapy Flow will support your practice to build, implement, and support your admin staff long term, because that's really the biggest differentiator that Therapy Flow has, is not just giving you a little bit of software, but giving you the environment where you and your team can be successful, because there's no point in investing in software or trying to make your practice more complex or more automated, unless it's useful and actually moves the practice forward.
And,
So with that
and let
said,
me tag
yeah,
into that. There's no point in paying for advertising
yeah.
that you can't manage the inbound flow on. And I'm seeing this all the time. People are spending money and without a good solution, those leads are going stale in their inbox very quickly. So anyway, sorry to interrupt.
For sure. So I want to cut right to the chase. I am going to share my screen and drop a quick link. A lot of you and a lot of our clients, they want to run Google Ads or they want good search engine optimization traffic. They want leads. They want to run marketing. This is an example of a Google Ads simple landing page that's built inside of the CRM. You'll see here typical stuff, call outs for what they're doing, maybe some videos, maybe some content, maybe some features of your different clinicians. But this right here is a website form. This is powered by the TherapyFlow CRM. You can make this look however you want. It's HIPAA compliant. I just tossed this page in the chat. And if any of you want to give this a try, what will essentially happen is you can go to that page and you can fill out that form and we'll see all of your leads populate into this system. Anyone who fills out a form for a website, on a landing page, on a funnel, on a service page in your website. If anyone wants to go in right now, if you're saying, how does this work? Go fill out that form on that page that I just dropped in the Zoom chat, and leads will populate in what's called a pipeline. This is a drag and drop experience where you can customize how, when, and where you want to dictate the leads. There's also automations attached to this in terms of emails and text messages that will be sent out. I'll give it a second to see if slash when one or two people fill this out and we can see it populate in real time. The Therapy Flow system also has native scheduling attached to it. So often at the end of a page, after someone fills out the form, one of the best ways to increase the amount of people that you talk to is have a simple free scheduled consult option that they can schedule with your staff right there. And they can see available options for that next week, for the next month, and choose that appropriately. Let me come over to here and we'll keep going with some different layers on this. Can you guys still see my screen okay?
Yep.
So when you first log in, what's going to be awesome is you're going to get a dashboard. It's going to tell you by day, by week, by month, by year, exactly how many leads are coming in. So if I wanted to go several years back and we wanted to say, hey, we've gotten 170 leads in the last week, the last month, the last year, we can see how many have converted into paying clients. Some of our practices track what's called pipeline value. You can edit this dashboard. So any form of data, how many calls you're getting, how many emails you're getting, how many leads are coming in, how many are converting into paying clients, from which sources, you can make a little dashboard, a little widget right here when you first log in that will showcase that specific usage in whatever time frame that you want. There's a full task system related to leads or referrals. So you can assign content, assign tasks to admin team members or to yourself. And then you can check in on yourself or your team on overdue tasks, when they're overdue, when they need to be resolved, how long is a pending task been out, how long does it take your team to follow up and call back. There's other fun things like lead source reporting. And this is really where rubber meets the road. If you're spending money on advertising, ads, SEO, directory sites, we can integrate with like Psychology Today and Therapy Den. We can have all of your Google ad data coming in and not just see how many leads you get from Google Ads, but how many convert into paying clients. And you can see a win-loss percentage from things like direct email, certain associations, your Facebook ads, other emails forms, good therapy, Psych Today phone call, word of mouth referral, a phone call from Google ad. All of these are attribution sources or lead sources that you can hook up to the system and build reports and data out of to see success with some of those things. And I already showed the pipeline segment of things, but this is really where the system becomes a lot more powerful. You can have multiple lead pipelines. So some people want to manage their wait list or a retention pipeline. Some people will split out their site testing or their groups. Ultimately, when you're doing this work, we want every single lead from any source to be populating in a simple pipeline from you. This way, you could hit the little call button and it could call Candace back in terms of the phone system. You could hit the view conversation button and it'll pull up all the emails and text messages and history sent via the system. We could add in notes that follow this contact so we always know the context for what they were looking for when we're taking that phone call or doing some of those layers. We can add in tasks for follow up at a later date and schedule ourselves different pieces here to know when we're supposed to follow up. And then we can manually add opportunities, update information, and one of the best ways is to do something called tags. Tags are little notes that you might add on a contact, or the system might automatically add as they're filling out a form. And it might do things like ADHD or Aetna or assigned to a specific provider like Anilin. There's a lot of different ways that you can use tags, and you can pull reports for everyone on your list tagged with ADHD, or everyone on your list pulled for couples counseling, or Aetna, or cash pay, and send bulk emails, bulk campaigns, and some of those layers provided. So the first core feature that we are trying to get in place for a practice when they get started with the CRM is all of their leads from any source populating into the CRM automatically and tracked. So then your team can do whatever version of follow-up you want with it. This will get you off of spreadsheets. This will get you off of manual data lead entry so you can work the leads in real time and assign tasks. I'll show you all a lot more in just a second related to the automations that are possible. But core feature number one, do we know where our leads are coming from automatically? And do we have insight on what stages the team is following up with on some of those different layers? You can customize any one of these pipelines to fit your intake process and your intake flow. So you can rename, you can reorder, and you can make different kinds of connections for how your practice utilizes this process. As we're going throughout this, I'll show you a couple other features. The other main piece that our practices receive a lot of value from is the email and text message marketing. I had a session on that earlier inside of the POW conference, but there's two ways to trigger automations. There's a whole HIPAA compliant email marketing portal. What's great is even like Simple Practice and most EHRs, they've now made updates so you can get easy CSV files from Simple Practice, download, upload into a portal like this. You can upload any and all of those contacts, and you can create email marketing campaigns to send to current clients, to past leads, for weekly newsletters, and any number of things that you might want and need to get better conversion, better lead nurture from this. And so if you want pretty campaigns, you come into the email builder and it's loading up here, but it's drag and drop. You can add in images, you can add in buttons, you can change your colors, your themes, and you can send in full newsletter style emails. And unsubscribe on a list management level for good compliance is all handled by the system appropriately. What's also helpful is if we come out, we can talk about the automation section next. If you want your team to be able to do things like missed call text back, so if you're out of office and you want them to text a client back, prompting them to a schedule or to a next step, the system can identify that. If you want to build an automation, I'll hit start from scratch here. If you want to build an automation that sends emails and text messages every day for 10 days after a lead gets on your list, that is possible. So let's say someone fills out a form on your website. We can come in here and say, hey, let's send them a full email. We can choose who it's from. We can write our subject line and we can customize it and say, hey, first name or contact name of that person. This is so and so from the practice. And it can send the same email out then, customized, pulling in that contact's name again and again, anytime a form on your website is filled out. So this will get you immediate responses. It can change what's inside of the email based off of which check boxes they clicked on the form. So if you say, are you interested in couples or individual? Are you interested in anxiety help or depression help? Are you interested in location at Bridgeport or location in Newport, right? It could choose and send out programmatically different types of automations and different types of messaging for each one of those segments. I'll show you some live examples in a second, but what's also helpful is there are now AI builders for these workflows. So you can describe in plain language what you want to accomplish inside of the automation. Hey, I want it to follow up. I want it to know this information. I want to pull this from this form. And it will build about 80 to 90% of the workflow for you. And you can check it and add in the final elements. And this will speed you up in building automations for your practice. I'll talk about the phone function for text message in just a second here. But to talk a little bit about what happens when you first enter in the system. We've got 7 folders here when you first log in, split across marketing, follow-up and lead working, discovery session, notifications, before the first session, auto good faith estimates, and a number of other workflows that are all inside of that come preloaded that our team has built. There's tutorial videos on any and all of these different pieces, but you're going to come into a system that has a lot of pre-built workflows ready for your practice to use and utilize, and our team can help set up some of those in different capacities. If you come up into the top right, you can search our knowledge base for any and all articles related to small or big features. You can chat with our team. There's 24/7 support chat for technical help or for quick questions that you want to be answered. I'll talk about some other support layers that we offer in just a second. But you'll step into a system when we do your orientation call that is full, that there's pre-built automations and pre-built structure and support for you right away for some of those layers. On a phone level, I want to go and show a couple different things. AI phone calls is a feature that is available inside of this platform as a standalone thing if you want, or for a full HIPAA compliant phone system to replace your Spruce or your phone.com or your call rail or some of those pieces if needed. AI phone calls is one of those. And the way right now that we see the AI system work best for practices that want some coverage is the lead calls in, the AI system answers, and you have one of really two or three end goals that are working really well right now. The system can ask a few questions, it can qualify the person, and then it can do what's called a warm transfer. It can, if it's during office hours, ring on your staff's end so that way they can pick it up and take the full phone call from there if it's a qualified prospect. Ask yourself, how many spam calls do you get? How many people are disqualified because you don't take their insurance or their process? If we can save your team time from having to answer or to work those leads for what you consider someone you don't want to work with, that's going to be huge. The other thing that it could also do is if you use the calendar system, it could schedule a free consult post the qualification. It can look and sync with a calendar like the internal calendar and a Google calendar, and it would be able to make a phone call and be able to place that person on the calendar for some of those pieces. It's not going to go as far as integrating with your EHR and placing it for a first paid verified appointment on one of your therapist calendars. But the two endpoints for either a warm transfer or a scheduled free consult are working really well for our practices. The other endpoint is to just schedule a task for your team with all of that lead data. So that way, when someone calls in, you're not getting just a raw voicemail that you have to go back to, but you're getting name, email, phone number, all of that collected when someone calls in after hours in real time for your team to follow up with the next time that you're in office. So what's cool is if you want to give this a try, there's a live phone number right here that you could call. This is for a quote unquote Illinois practice. So you do have to say that you're located in Illinois for the call to continue. And that's a fun feature that's in place because if you get a lot of out of state callers or whatever, you can immediately disqualify them if they're not seeking care for the state that you're located in. So let's say you have 6 states that you practice out of and you get 10, 20, 50 phone calls a month for people not located in the states that you aren't licensed to provide services in. Again, quick qualification before it either does a warm transfer or collects lead data. So yeah, you can call that number right now, say, yes, I'm in Illinois. You can train this on your own documentation. It's very fast and easy to set up. We have some coaching calls on a weekly basis that teach our practices how to do this and to customize it and refine it. And the goal here isn't to A, replace your intake team. That's not what's going to work well. Or B, get that person to a full scheduled therapy session. The primary goal here with this system like this is to get more lead information from phone calls and text messages coming into the system when your team is not in office, and to do qualification or kick out spam callers so your team doesn't have to deal and sort through all of those different layers. You can go back at any time. If you're rewatching this, this number will still be live and active for you to give it a try. I want to talk a little bit more about the phone system specifically. There is a full HIPAA compliant phone, text, IVR, phone trees, everything you'd want on a phone system in a single place. You don't have to use the system to get full functionality of the rest of the features inside of the CRM, but it is a great system. With us, it's $2.88 a month per phone line. We will port phone numbers over for you, which is great. And then it's based off of usage. And so if you have a larger practice, you're going to have what's called communication charges. If you're a smaller practice, for any practice of any size, we don't charge per user. So if you want 10 people in your CRM, if you want 100 people in your CRM, there's no additional costs incurred. It's just those who are sending and receiving emails or sending and receiving phone systems. Our fees are listed on our website. I'll also quickly flash to them here. It's based off of like segment. The easy heuristic is about $10 would get you about 500 phone calls, 500 text message, or about 6,000 emails sent. So depending on your practice size, if we're seeing a 5 to 15 clinician practice, they'll spend between $10 and $30 a month in communication charges all in. Some of our larger practices with 50 or 100 clinicians plus, they might be closer to that $100 a month range or more, depending on the level of usage, specifically on phone calls and on email marketing that you plan to do. Katie asks, do we have to have a new phone number or do you provide a number? So when we think about the phone system, you essentially have three options. You can keep your current phone system. You're just not going to get the native reporting that the CRM provides if you are using the CRM phone reporting system, and you have to rely on whatever current phone system you are for phone calls, receiving some of those things. There's some HIPAA compliant ways to pull that data in depending on who your phone system is. I don't know everyone who's watching, but sometimes we can get Spruce or CallRail or phone.com to get those leads still porting into the system. You're just not going to get the phone and the text message function out of it. Some of our practices, they do call forwarding into the system or out of the system to still capture that lead and have some sort of usage there. But maybe you've had this single landline you can't get off of for the last 20 years. And so you don't want to move that number, you can't port it or whatever happens. So there's still some options to get all of those leads into the system via call forwarding in and out, or you can do a full phone replacement. I'd say probably about 60 to 70% of the practices that start with the CRM eventually move their full phone system into the CRM because of convenience on more tools being in a single place for their intake team and for cost savings because it is a very clear cost benefit on your cost per month for the phone line and how cheap the usage charges are when you're making and receiving phone calls. Because you can give an admin that maybe needs a phone every once in a while, and you'll incur almost no cost without having to give them a phone number at $20 or $40 a month, essentially, like a lot of the other platforms have. Let me go to a couple other fun segments when we think about this system. Under sites, we have the form builder. And this is where you can build as many forms or as many surveys as you would like for your practice. So some practices, they will build forms and it will look like the same place on their website, but it will be a distinct form for the couples therapy page, for the group therapy page, for the individual therapy, and then their main contact form. So they can see in real time with almost no effort at all how many leads are coming from distinct service pages versus flowing through their main contact us form. And you can make it all look different and the same, or you can ask specific questions for the form that's on your therapy page versus on your groups page. You can add in custom questions. You can add in, you see this one, partners names, partners email if you're asking for that on a counseling form. You could trigger sending this form out via an automation if you know that that person is interested in couples counseling, so you can collect this information together. You can hit integrate, and we can either get the embed code and put it in your Squarespace, put it in your GoDaddy, put it in whatever website that you're currently in, or we can always share the raw link or embed it in a number of different ways in the native funnels, systems, links, and emails inside of this platform. So I've showed us a couple things now. Showed us number one, all of the leads coming into a single place via the pipelines and the opportunities. Number two is I've showed you the phone system and the AI phone calling. That is found under the AI agents related pieces. And this is where we can come and we can set up voice AI. There's a knowledge-based section. So this is where you would upload call transcripts, call scripts, other related pieces for building your own calling agent. And I showed you email marketing for you to send out trigger automations, send emails and text messages. Under the marketing segment of things, there's a couple other great things that you can do. There is a full website chat widget for your website as well. There's the option to make it AI driven to answer questions automatically for you. There's also ways to make it a live chat for your team during the time that you have business hours, or more like ticket support for some of those pieces where it triggers an email or a text message once that person starts a conversation. And so it looks like this. It just lives in the bottom right of your website and it will pop up and ask questions, go through things. You can programmatically build it and make it however you want for those different layers and stylize it and create different widgets for chat. I'm kind of showing you the full suite of tools for some of these pieces. And what I say, if you're viewing all of this and thinking through it all for the first time, is where do you start? How long does this take to implement? And those are pretty common questions. It's a little bit like stepping into a commercial kitchen for the very first time. The goal initially is to just make some eggs, scramble them, get a good meal, and then build into the use case of everything else that's there. And that's really what our team is here to help and support. So I already mentioned a couple of the support layers, but I want to go through a few more. Number one is we'll do a included orientation call with you. This is where we're going to hook up your domain, make sure your email works, start to help you understand how to integrate each one of your lead sources, and just show you around the system. We have the 24/7 support chat as well. And so that's for any technical help, for any team member that's in the system. And again, there's no cost to add one or add five team members. The only additional cost beyond the monthly subscription is just communication charges if you use the phone and the email system. And probably the most important level of support that we provide is in the system in the bottom left. If we click need support, again, brings up all of our support options for you, our guides, our intake and support guides, our email for you to create tickets whenever you want, our full knowledge base. But this get one-on-one help sessions here. If you're like, I wish I could just schedule and talk to a person to help with an automation, to help with a workflow, to fix a phone issue, to fill in the blank, you can hit book now. And we'll see here next week, we've got a bunch of times every single of the day next week for you to book any specific one-on-one help that you might want. And this is rolling every single week. So any practice owner, any admin team that's inside of the TherapyFlow CRM gets access to unlimited one-on-ones with our team. So you're never going to be left in the dark on the amount of support that you need. And we take things a step further because you also probably want to interact with other practice owners and not just people who know how to help you implement something in the software, but know how to coach you on building better systems overall for your practice. And so this is also where we have an entire coaching community available for you, and we run a daily coaching call for anyone who's in the CRM and a monthly masterclass for you. And so we have advanced user sessions. This is where we're talking about AI implementation, conversation AI, complex workflows with Google Analytics, with IVRs, with phone trees, with things more advanced practices want to get into. We have open forum discussions. We have new user workshops, right? And so this is where you or your team can just get coaching from one of our higher level team members who have the full operation field of view for practices and can make suggestions, recommendations, troubleshoot, and teach you guys how to level up your intake and your marketing data, workflows, dashboards, the whole 9 yards. So at the start, when we were talking about, why wouldn't you go to high level direct or why would you go with another CRM? When it boils it all down, there's not any other HIPAA compliant therapy practice specific CRM out there that I know that has this level of support that we provide to our clients. And so that's something we're really passionate about and want to provide over to you. Now, there's a million other things that I could show. If you've got questions or you want to toss in specific features or you're interested in different layers, happy to go deeper with some of these things. To call out a couple other segments here, there is a full learning management system inside of this platform, so you can build a full membership community and or products to build course material, manage certificates, and manage opt-ins related to that. There's a full reporting segment so you can get and build custom reports on your calls, your leads, your layers. So if you're a very data-driven practice, there's ways to generate a brand new report directly inside of this system for all of that information. If you're wanting to make a contact management super easy, all of these leads can get uploaded and downloaded at any point in the usage of this. And then we can run advanced filters. So you'll see here on the right-hand side, all of these tags just coming in specifically, an existing patient and some of those things. So maybe we wanted to send a campaign. I'll do this for you all. Let's say we wanted to send a campaign to all of our existing clients. I pull that tag up, hit select all, and now I can send an email, add a tag, trigger an automation, or send an SMS that fast to everyone who's tagged as an existing client inside of the platform. Katie asks me to show the reputation segment. So under the reputation segment, there are ways to automate and build out reviews. There are some features here that you're gonna have to be careful whether you want to activate or to build out, depending on your state and your layers of things for sending and requesting reviews. There is a Google My Business optimization segment of things, so you can hook up as many Google My Business locations as you want, and you can manage them in a single place. Push replies, push updates and communication. Under the marketing segment, there's also a social planner. So we can add in and we can schedule out social posts. So if we wanted to make the same post show up for Instagram and the same post show up for Google My Business, because Google My Business does like updates, that can all happen in the same field of view for some of those pieces.
And Joshua, you and I were, I think maybe when we were talking a couple days ago, for even larger practices, if you're listening to this and you're 100, 200 clinicians, things like that, you guys have some ability to do customized build outs on this if they're needing different things?
Indeed. So I'll quickly go to that and we can dialogue from there. Right now, just as a POW conference bonus, there's a couple pieces. We're offering 50% off your first 3 months with the system as you get signed up. I tossed that link as well below if you want to qualify for that offer, essentially. And what that looks like is you come down below, you fill out the form, it shoots you your BAA, you sign in, and we'll get you all set up from there for an orientation call. But it does send you that BAA to your email. You have to check trash and spam right away. If you don't see it, fill it out. You can always shoot our sales email for some of those things. On a custom build level, our initial price point for a custom build for practice starts at 1,500 one time. We'll scope out for larger if we're doing AI, if we're doing lots of locations and other things. So it can really fluctuate on what we're building on a custom build. Initially, we usually do it in about a 10 day or about 2 business weeks process. We sit down, we interview the practice, we figure out all the workflows, all the automations, everything else. Our automations and development team gets access to all the different sources that we need, hooks it all up, gives your team a big training on it, and then you're kind of off to the races there, unless we scope out a larger conversation for custom setups from there. I don't know if my screen was sharing as I was showing the custom build segment of it. It was great. Sometimes it doesn't flip between.
Somebody asked, does Therapy Flow do anything on the nonprofit pricing side?
We don't have any additional plans or discounts other than right now that 50% off the first 3 months, and really for our group practices, the 197 a month plan. Down the road, if a practice wants to upgrade to an annual plan, usually there's a 10% off discount if you enroll in the annual plan. We start everyone on a monthly plan just to ensure it's a good fit. And then we can always have the conversation later on if you know that you're, long term embedded in some of this. Inside of that same link, if you've got questions, if you've got customizations, you can go to the top and hit book a demo, and we'll sit down one on one with you. We'll go through your practice details, we'll go through your layers, we'll talk about anything and everything that might be specific to your EHR, to your specific phone system, your specific email system. And one last note on that, there are a lot of native integrations. If your EHR has an open API or has the ability for like webhooks and some other fun data related pieces, there's great integrations we can help with. If it's something like Simple Practice, who has a very closed API at the moment, a very closed data system, we're not going to directly integrate. If you want lists, you can download and upload. They recently even changed how their files are downloaded, so it's pretty fast. You can get one-click download, upload your contacts, tag them as existing clients or previous clients, manage your marketing pretty simply that way. What other questions do you guys have in the chat? What are the layers, use cases, maybe recommendations on what you can or should automate for your practice?
You have any stats in your head or any anecdotes about cost savings on this? I think one of the big things that we are kind of obsessively pushing on from the coaching side is lowering the admin cost per session. How are you seeing this impact companies' bottom lines? What kind of multiple on that 197 a month do people see back in cost savings, et cetera?
Yeah. Number one stat that we typically cite is saving your admin about 5 to 10 hours of either weekly or monthly manual data entry time. If you add up the 1 to 5 minutes they spend pulling requests from their manual spreadsheet to try and find that data and or manually entering in name, phone, email, copy and pasting it from your email, from your Psych Today source, from your whatever else, you're either going to free them up for other things or you're going to not need that coverage during that same time. And so that looks like the out of office time. So you log in the next morning and your lead is there ready to go to hit the callback button instead of having to pull it together, copy and paste and some of those things. So your admin will save a lot of time on accessing data and following up with leads. That's segment one. We usually see that 5 to 10 hours, either a week or a month, depending on the volume of leads that you're getting. The second thing is seeing usually a 5 to 10% increase in your lead conversions, your intake conversions. It Very proven that if you do robust email marketing and text message marketing and you get back with leads in the first 5 minutes to get on the calendar, which can be hard to do for a lot of admin staff, your conversion rate goes through the roof. So for a practice that's at a good conversion rate of 40 or 50%, with a new system, they can take that to 55 or 60%. And that is I walked through some of these numbers in my email marketing chat, but if you implement even a quarterly reactivation, that could be anywhere from 50 to 150 new clients annually from the weekly email that you send out with a good system, and that can be huge. And then the last thing that we think about is accessing data specifically on Google Ads. And this is a huge one for me. If you don't know what leads are or are not converting from any marketing source, but especially from Google Ads, which is such a blunt exchange of money, you're not going to be optimizing or spending as much as you should or shouldn't on specific ad campaigns or ad sets. And this system will tell you, right, if the campaign is working or not working, or if your leads are converting or not converting. So that way you're spending more money successfully, or you're removing the ad spend on those ads that aren't working.
That's huge, Joshua. I think for the last 3 or 4 months in our 1F and our Streamline groups, we've been talking heavily about cost per acquisition versus lifetime value of the client, you know?
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a lot of money reactively thrown at marketing the next few years as the industry gets a little more competitive. And there's going to be a lot of wasted money because people don't have attribution. They don't know where their calls are coming from. So I think that's huge.
Yeah. Taryn asks if the data can be exported. 100%. Pretty much any form field, any document, any tag, any data that you have on your contacts inside of this system, you can hit select all and you can hit export. And it's as fast as that. It will download and you'll have it to take wherever you want. And that works well because you can either upload lists back into your EHR pretty quickly if you're doing work there, or you can download lists from your EHR and get it into the platform for some of those pieces. I'm gonna pull up my slides that I did on the email marketing segment a couple days ago. If you missed that session, maybe go grab the replay because I go in depth, not with just, functions of what's possible inside of a CRM, but like raw recommendations on types of lead nurtures. But I'll go through two scenarios really fast. James is getting 50 leads a month from just his Google Ads. 20 convert from his normal intake closing process. That's a 40% closing rate. If he does strong email and text message follow up, we see that often someone like him can convert about 10 additional leads over the course of that next month, resulting in about 30 intakes, which is a 60% conversion rate instead of 40. This is practically 120 additional therapy clients annually, but it's a 50% ROI increase from his Google Ads. It's a 50% ROI increase from his Google Ads, and that is massive. We think of someone like David, if he has a 5,000 contact list and he sends a weekly newsletter, and about two people reach out and 50% of them convert. So one person converts. That's an extra 52 clients a year, which is about two caseloads, which we know is somewhere between, 150 to $200,000 of annual revenue for your practice, based off of lifetime values on clients. So small things like a weekly newsletter that you're actually sending out, and I talk about, what should be in that newsletter, what should be in your email marketing in that session is really huge. And then to speak specifically to reactivation campaigns, which is one of the biggest layers that we see. We really recommend that our practices send either monthly or quarterly reactivations to previously discharged clients. So Ken mentioned lifetime value. If you have to spend more money to get more leads in the door, you're going to spend way more money on marketing. Or if your intake process is broken and they don't convert into paying clients, marketing pays the cost. On a lifetime value level, if you can get more of your current clients returning, you'll increase your lifetime value as well. And sending out a monthly or quarterly reactivation to all of your previous clients because circumstances change, they dropped off and they forgot to reschedule, something happened with one of your clinicians, and maybe they're open to getting on a new topic. You introduced EMDR to your practice and you didn't have that previously. The larger your practice is, you can do it monthly. The smaller your practice, maybe sub 15 clinicians, maybe do this quarterly. So
That's
a couple
actually how I discovered Go High Level and
yeah.
all this stuff. Ironically, was I was activate. Somebody wrote a book about this and DBR, database reactivation, the ROI, and they mentioned Go High Level over and over and over, which is what TherapyFlow is built on. The statistics on that are insane. How that can add to your profitability as a practice. I mean, it is basically all profit at that point, minus what you got to pay the clinician.
Yeah. Taryn, we do offer a BAA. I just dropped the link. You can either schedule a demo through that link if you want to have a one-on-one call with me, or you can just go ahead and get started. Activate 50% off your first 3 months. Your first step, you fill out the form. It shoots you the BAA right away. We don't make your account until we have that BAA in hand. We schedule you a one-on-one orientation call, and it goes from there. Kevin asks, does TherapyFlow have a function of Metricool? I'm not familiar with that tool, so I just ask what is the function of that, and then I can let you know how that works or what you're looking for there.
Metricool is a um, where you can send out campaigns on Facebook and Instagram, things of that nature. Um,
Page, in terms of like a social media management tool, it has that same functionality. You can hook up your Facebook, your Google My Business, all of your other profiles, and you can integrate both for ads and for organic posting, both.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Katie, there is a 10% discount on annual pricing. We start with getting someone on just the monthly, and then as long as someone is monthly and they're confident on the annual pricing, we'll move you forward with that. We just want to make sure it's a great fit for you, your team, and your system before we lock you in for a full year.
I actually love that, by the way. I think that is an integrity thing. I think it would be very easy to take that money up front. I think it means a lot, Joshua, that you guys make sure it's a right fit before people commit. Thank you for doing
Of course. And so we have benchmarks. We have three categories inside of the CRM and inside of our knowledge base of essentially like new, low, medium, high is one way to put it, but from low to advanced usage. And so we're trying to help our practices through our coaching calls, our live support, our orientation, and everything else slowly level up the amount of tools that they're using inside of the system and be benchmarked against that. That's why we offer the one-on-ones whenever you want them and the coaching calls for some of those things. And what's great is there's more features, more function, and more integrations that are coming today. We've had conversations with some of the biggest EHR companies, and the tides are shifting, so to speak, on how data is flowing, especially because of how AI is changing everything. And so your ability to use a system like this and in another 6 to 12 months, just have more of your sources either in a single place or better data flowing is going to be huge. Well, if you haven't had a chance yet, I'd love for you to schedule that one-on-one call if you need additional information. Otherwise, if it's something that you might want to check out and start to integrate, go ahead and go grab your BAA and get the process started. It'll be 98 bucks a month for you for the next couple months as you are starting to integrate this process. And I'll leave you on 4 clarifying points. If you know where your leads are coming from automatically and your admin team doesn't have to enter all of their details in onto a spreadsheet, they'll save time. If you do email marketing, you'll convert more of your clients more often. If you set up a simple workflow for when your team is not in office, you'll capture more data and convert more of the leads that you're not speaking to live at 12 o'clock midnight or on the weekends. And lastly, your admin long term will thank you because they are tired of being scattered and tired of the manual slog of things. And it's time to give them the tools needed to level up some of these processes and give you the data needed to grow your practice instead of wondering if your marketing is or isn't working. And that's what we do here at TherapyFlow.
And I'll throw in one other layer. You may mention it sometimes, but in the battle to keep people in a group practice versus going solo, this is something that's very hard and very costly for them to replicate, right? That there's a conversion rate here, there's a software price. Like this is one more benefit that makes people say, you know what, I've got it pretty good at XYZ practice. So all you that are group practice owners, keep that in mind as well. This is a hard thing to replicate, even cost wise, out on their own. So it's a win for your practices retention wise.
We started implementing CRMs with our clients as we were running ads for them. So we also do a lot of marketing services, Google Ads, SEO, email marketing, other things for practices exclusively. But about 5 years ago, we needed a CRM so that way we could show our clients how well their ads were or were not working when it came to generating therapy clients. And so what this also comes down to is marketing has gotten more expensive. And the only way we have found to be competitive is to tightly track your return on investment and your lifetime value. And it's very hard to do that without error, without a system like this in place. And so if you are wanting to add another 7 figures to your practice or less or more, right? The system will help and equip you to make that work.
Love it. Any last questions for Joshua before we cut him loose? You can go watch his Saturday morning cartoons. It's a great platform, Christy. It's one of the industry leaders for sure. The presentation from Thursday, Wade, Alina, any read on when we'll have all those uploaded?
Yeah, it gave us about a week or so to get all the recordings down, then uploaded onto Hoover, and then we'll move them over to our site once our 30 days is up.
Yeah, Katie, I'll just quickly share my screen and show you this. What's nice is you can use the same functions for like lead tracking and pipeline tracking as you do for some of the other tools. So the easy answer is yes. So you can integrate whether it's forms. Some people will build their opt-in sequence inside of the lead or the funnel for them submitting resumes or signatures. Some will run Facebook ads and integrate those leads directly. And then you build a simple pipeline and track any and all of the contacts that are coming in, and you could follow the same process, just have a quick little database for all of your different types of interviews or license types and where they're at in your recruitment process. And then you can send out bulk emails, bulk messages, recruitment campaigns. So if you build a whole list of all of the local providers, let's say you run a weekly or a monthly coffee out of your practice as a way to collect names and build relationships, you can pull those names into a system like this and send them a monthly email when you have openings or things like that. We didn't have time to touch it today, but there's also some great use cases if you have robust referral partners to give them custom forms and custom links. So that way, when they send referrals over to you, those are automatically porting into the system, tracked from that referral provider with like a loop back message to them, either when they're booked or when they show up in your system. So there's lots of fun things that we can do to help level up your practice.
If any of you were at my ECV times three email call visit, that's one of the whole ideas here is warm handoffs. And if they can have a QR code or a form that's saved to their phone and they can put it directly into the system and know it's cared for, you become their go-to provider of choice, right? Their job is to streamline their workflow over there as well. So this is huge that we can do this straight into a CRM. All right, y'all. Thank you, Joshua. It was amazing. I think a lot of folks are intrigued. Reach out to Joshua, fill out that form if you want a demo. He's great. We will see you back here in a couple minutes or on the other link for our interview with Will Compton and Chris Stokes of One Workforce Global. They will be talking about using offshore labor, about $15,000 to $20,000 a year for a full-time person who's embedded and part of your team. So see you in a couple minutes. Thank you, Joshua.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Joshua.
Cheers, guys.